garbage or something of that nature.
So, Luke, I'm just getting in my ear that there was a Senate Alerts email that was sent out that reportedly gunshots were heard in the CVC of the U.S. Capitol building.
That would confirm reports that we have heard from folks around the vicinity of the Capitol Visitor Center. I did not hear myself gunshots, but if that is in fact what went down, that would certainly constitute the response that has occurred. From my vantage point, Thomas, okay, is that an ambulance? Yes, okay. We are now seeing an ambulance leave in front of the Capitol. It is getting a police escort. Are we up on that stretch? Cameraman, I don't think we have a shot of this, so you'll hopefully be able to see it sooner rather than later, but it looks like an ambulance is leaving the Capitol complex, and that was there. It arrived about 15 minutes ago, so presumably something is going on with that. Information, though, is slow to get around aside from the shelter-in-place order, Thomas. That's where we are at this point right now as this ambulance pulls out of the Capitol.
All right, so if you're just joining us right now, we had just gotten word moments ago that there was a shelter-in-place order that was sent around as the U.S. Capitol was put on lockdown, asking people to shelter in place. They were not allowing people in. Now we have this email that's gone around informing people that there were gunshots heard at the U.S. Capitol in the CVC. And Luke, how far away is that from you, the visitor center?
The CVC is directly connected to where I am from the Russell Senate office building underground by a series of tunnels. So for me, it's literally probably a 5-minute walk. If I were to go outside, it's probably about 200 yards from where I am in the window of the Senate office building. And it's a massive complex underneath the Capitol. I'll give you an idea of what it's like when you walk in there. There is a perimeter, a security perimeter in the CVC of metal detectors. So if you're a tourist, you're coming here to the Capitol, you want to say hi to your member of Congress, you want to see the rotunda, what you would do ordinarily is go to the CVC, you pass through a security wand, and then you get put in line to take a tour of the Capitol, go to the auditorium, see a history of the building, and whatnot. So there's a perimeter there. Now, the Capitol is very unique, Thomas, because unlike other buildings in Washington, D.C., like the White House, where you have a real security presence outside that's pretty massive, similar to the State Department, the Capitol prides itself on being a free and open campus, meaning that I can walk to the Capitol literally to the door without anybody wanding me or screening me, because the idea is that this is the people's house, representative democracy. The people should be allowed to walk freely on the grounds of the people's house. Now, there's been some members of Congress that said we should really establish more of a security perimeter. People should be wanded before they can walk in on the grounds. That has not happened even in the ISIS age that we live in. So presumably someone can walk up to the Capitol Visitor Center and be in line if they ever wanted to act in a nefarious way where you're wanted. But that is about as far as you can go to get inside the building. Outside, it's a lot more lax, and that's when people are worried about something happening at the Capitol. They're usually worried about if people are outside on a nice day, what could happen because anyone is free to walk in front of the building and whatnot. We have some information. Oh, I'm done. So that's where we stand, Tom.
So, Luke, we're joined now by MSNBC anchor and correspondent Kate Snow, and Kate spent many years covering Congress as a congressional correspondent, different network, but you know this area very well.
In the same way that Luke Resser does every day. And, Luke, I think that we're looking at a shot, if I'm not mistaken, I think that we're looking at the other side of Capitol Hill on our screen right now with the reflecting pool. Can you see that shot?
I cannot. I am walking freely. The reflecting pool, that would be the west front, the side of the inauguration.
Exactly,
correct?
On the side where, if people are familiar with the mall in Washington, they're familiar with the Smithsonian. The shot you're looking at right now would be sort of the beginning of the mall going, behind us here would be the Lincoln Memorial. But what Luke is talking about, just for clarity, is on the other side of the Capitol, on the east front of the Capitol. They spent many years renovating and building this brand new state-of-the-art visitor center, which I've been to with my kids. It's a wonderful place. It's underground. As Luke mentioned, there's a lot of security there, Luke, and when you get under there, it's basically a museum and a gathering area, and from there, people would set off with tour guides, right, Luke?
Yes, what you would do is you come in, you go through security, and then you're literally processed. You get a ticket, you're assigned to a tour guide.
It's
and then you
under what
have
we're looking at
access
right now, just to
the
tell
building.
people what we're looking at. It's underneath that, that cement that we're looking at here in this shaky video. The visitor center is actually down underground. You take escalators to go down to that area.
I would also add that now I'm looking out the window. I'm in the Russell Senate Office Building, so I have a viewpoint of the East Front and of the Visitor Center at the top of it, at least. There is foot traffic on Constitution Avenue, the intersection of Constitution and Delaware. The Capitol Police are holding back a lot of reporters, but people are being permitted to walk up and down Constitution Avenue. Even though the road is closed, foot traffic is permitted to go up and down the street, just not allowed on the Capitol side. So that's opened up, I think, within the last about 5 minutes or so.
And just to tell our viewers, I think if the control room can correct us, Thomas, I think on the right side of your screen is video that we're just getting in. Okay, so that is videotape, not live, so it doesn't match exactly what Luke is saying, but we're seeing, Luke, we're seeing people with guns, officers with guns drawn in this video that's coming in now.
So we saw
That
someone,
was
Capitol Hill
about 10
police
minutes ago
bike.
from my vantage point.
So we saw someone drive Capitol Hill police officer on bike and then also on foot, running by armed. And I think out of that other shot, as we were looking down over the railing, either he was holding a firearm
That
or
officer
a
definitely
walkie-talkie,
is.
the one that
That's
was...
a firearm right there.
So if you're just joining us, though, there is a shelter-in-place order that's taken effect at the Capitol because of unconfirmed gunshots being reported at the CVC, the visitor center there of the Capitol building. The congressional staff currently in recess right now because they are on Easter break. Certain members of the Senate not coming back until later next week, and then beyond that, for congressional members on the 12th. So it's a relatively quiet time in Washington, D.C. Luke, from what we've been covering today, Merrick Garland had some meetings scheduled for today, but other than that, it's pretty quiet.
It is quiet, Thomas, and like I mentioned earlier, this is the height of the tourist season. So there's a lot of pedestrian foot traffic, a lot of tourist foot traffic, but as far as the business of the Capitol and the House and Senate, there's not a whole heck of a lot going on, and this is usually a week to just circle on calendars for vacation. Give you a quick update. I'm looking out now at the Visitor Center. It's still very much a lockdown scenario. No free-moving foot traffic on the East Front, except I now see one of those squat team vehicles that the Capitol Police has at its disposal. And that is pulled up there. I don't see one going in and out of that, so that is a new development.
Luke, can I interrupt just
for... We're trying to get our camera over here so we can show you that. I can just say, from appearance sake, with the movement on Constitution Avenue over on my side, the fact they're even allowing that pedestrian traffic to go up and down the street, which was closed off about 5 to 10 minutes ago, that would seem to me that the situation is not as dire as it was when we first started talking about it. It opened up a little bit, thankfully, that people are allowed to walk up and down on the sidewalk, not towards the Capitol, but at least that freedom of movement would seem, I would suspect, to indicate that things have lightened up a little bit.
Luke, let me just update if I can. I'm sorry to interrupt. The Associated Press is reporting, as we've just had on the screen there, that one Capitol Police officer was shot, not seriously injured, but was injured to some degree, and that the shooter is in custody. That's from the Associated Press, just coming into us. Also learning that the White House may have been put on lockdown because of the report as well. That's